Listen, oh, listen. Gather round. Let me tell you a story that will make you laugh, cry, and shake your head. This is the story of Chidi, the laziest man that ever walked the earth, and his long-suffering wife, Vivian. In the village of Okofo, there lived a woman named Vivian. This woman, she was everything a good wife should be. Beautiful like the morning sun, hardworking like an ant, patient like a mother hen, and God-fearing. Her only problem? Her husband Chidi. Now, when I say Chidi was lazy, I don't mean he was just a little bit lazy. No. This man had turned laziness into an art form. If there was an Olympics for doing nothing, Chidi would win gold, silver, and bronze, but only if someone carried him to the stadium. Let me paint you a picture of a typical morning in Vivian's house. Vivian would jump up from the mat like the house is on fire, stretches and yawns quietly so as not to wake her husband, and tiptoes outside to start her day. She sweeps the compound and fetches water from the stream, balancing the clay pot on her head like a crown. She lights the firewood, blowing on it until her cheeks hot. She starts preparing breakfast, and Chidi, that man was still sleeping like a baby who drank a full calabash of palm wine. His snoring was so loud, the neighbors thought there was a lion in the village. Chidi, wake up! Vivian would call, shaking his shoulder gently. Chidi would grunt, turn his body away, and wave his hand like he was swatting a mosquito. I'm coming, just 5 more minutes. 5 more minutes. This man had been saying 5 more minutes for 5 years. Eventually, when the sun was already hot enough to roast plantain, Chidi would roll off the mat, scratch his belly, yawn so wide you could see his tonsils, and shuffle outside like a tortoise with a hangover. "Good morning, my wife," he would say with a big smile, as if he had just done something wonderful. Vivian will look at him with tired eyes. "Chidi, it's almost afternoon." "Eh? Really? Time flies when you're resting well." He would laugh and sit down under the big mango tree in the compound. Now, let me tell you about this mango tree. This tree was Chidi's best friend, his office, his throne room. Every single day, from morning till evening, you will find Chidi sitting under that tree doing absolutely nothing. Sometimes he would pick his teeth with a stick. Sometimes he would count the ants crawling on the ground. Sometimes he would just stare at the sky like he was waiting for money to fall from heaven. But the real trouble started when Chidi's friends would come over. These friends, they were just as useless as him. There was Obi, who claimed he was waiting for a sign from God before he started walking. There was Emeka, who said he had back pain that only disappeared when there was free food and palm wine. And there was Ikena, who was saving his energy for important things, but nobody had ever seen him do anything important. These 4 men would sit under that mango tree every day, gisting and laughing like they owned the world. "Chidi, my brother, how is life treating you?" Obi would ask, slapping Chidi's back. "Life is sweet, my brother, very sweet," Chidi would respond. Sweet for who? Certainly not for Vivian, who at that very moment was breaking her back on the farm.
You see, while Chidi and his useless friends were sitting under the mango tree talking nonsense, Vivian was doing everything. And I mean everything. She would wake up at 4 a.m., sweep the compound, fetch water, cook breakfast, feed the children, walk 2 miles to the farm, clear the bush with a machete, plant yams, weed the cassava, harvest vegetables, pack everything on her head, walk 2 miles back home under the hot sun, go to the market, sell her goods, argue with customers who wanted to cheat her, count her money, buy food items, walk back home again, cook dinner, feed the children, wash the plates, bath the children, put them to sleep, and then finally, lay her exhausted body on the mat. And Chidi would appear at dinner time like a ghost. "Vivian, my wife, is food ready?" he would call out, rubbing his belly. Can you imagine? This man didn't ask, "How was your day?" He didn't ask, "Are you tired?" He didn't ask, "Do you need help?" No, just, "Is food ready?" And because Vivian was a good woman, she would dish out his food: mounded yam, rich soup with plenty of meat that her money bought, and Chidi would eat like a king. He would swallow the pounded yam in huge lumps, lick the soup from his fingers, suck the meat bones until they were white, belch so loud the neighbors could hear, brrr, pat his belly with satisfaction, and say, "Ah, Vivian, you are a good cook, oh. This is why I married you." Then he would lie down on the mat, scratch his belly some more, and fall asleep. And his snoring, even louder than before. Gong, gong, gong. Poor Vivian would be there, tired to her bones, with aching feet and rough hands, listening to her husband snore, while she wondered how her life had turned out this way. You see, it wasn't always like this. Oh no. When Chidi was courting Vivian, he was a different person entirely. He would bring her fresh fish from the river, buy her beautiful wrappers, plait her hair, carry her firewood, and call her sweet names. "Vivian, my sunshine. Vivian, my diamond. Vivian, my queen," he would say. "When we marry, I will build you a big house. I will buy you gold jewelry. You will never suffer. You will live like the wife of a chief." Vivian's parents warned her. They said, "This Chidi, we don't trust him. He talks too much and walks too little." But Vivian was in love. She said, "No, Papa, no, Mama. Chidi is different. He loves me. He will take care of me." Oh, how wrong she was. The moment they got married, the moment the wedding celebration ended, Chidi transformed. It was like the real Chidi had been hiding all along, and now he finally came out. Big house. They were living in the same small house Vivian's father gave them. Gold jewelry. Vivian's wedding beads were the last nice thing she ever received. Live like a chief's wife. She was living like a slave. The other women in the village would see Vivian struggling, and they would talk. At the stream while fetching water, they would whisper, "You see that Vivian? That woman is carrying too much. Her husband is useless." At the market while selling their goods, they would say, "Vivian, my sister, you are looking thin, oh. Are you eating well?"
Vivian would force a smile and say, I'm fine. It's just stress." But Mama Nkechi, the oldest woman in the village, the one who had seen everything and knew everything, would shake her head and say, "My daughter, a lazy husband is like a broken basket. No matter how much you put inside, everything falls through. But don't worry, the gods are watching. They always balance the scales." Now, let me tell you about the day everything came to a head. It was the dry season, and the roof of Vivian's house had been leaking for 3 months. Every time it rained, water would pour into the house like a waterfall. Vivian would be running around with buckets and pots, trying to catch the water, while Chidi would just move his mat to the dry corner and continue sleeping. "Chidi, please, we need to fix this roof," Vivian begged. "The rains are getting worse. Soon the whole house will collapse." The roof. Yes, I will fix it. Just let me rest today. I'm not feeling strong." Not feeling strong? This man had done nothing all week except sit under the tree. Another week passed. Now even Chidi's friends started noticing. Chidi, my brother, your roof is leaking badly. Oh. You need to fix it before the big rains come. Chidi sucked his teeth. Vivian, don't worry. I will fix it. When, Chidi? When will you fix it? Soon. Maybe tomorrow. Tomorrow came. Tomorrow went. The roof was still leaking. 1 week later, Vivian tried again. Chidi, the children are getting sick from sleeping in the cold and wet. Please fix the roof. The roof? Yes, I will fix it. Just let me rest today. I'm not feeling strong. Not feeling strong? This man had done nothing all week except sit under the tree. Then came the day that changed everything.
It was a bright sunny afternoon. Vivian had been at the farm since dawn, working under the scorching sun. Her wrapper was soaked with sweat. Her hands were blistered from the hoe. Her head was pounding from dehydration. She had dug over 50 mounds of yam all by herself. As she was walking home, carrying a heavy basket of vegetables on her head, she passed under the mango tree where Chidi and his friends were sitting. My wife, Chidi called out cheerfully. You are back. You look tired though. Go and rest more. Then make us some food. We are hungry. Something inside Vivian snapped. She stopped walking. She slowly lowered the basket from her head. She turned to look at Chidi with eyes that could melt iron. Make you food, she repeated quietly. Yes, now, we've been sitting here all day. We are hungry. Make that your special bitter leaf soup with plenty of goat's meat. And pounded yam. The other men nodded eagerly. Yes, Vivian, your cooking is the best in the village. Vivian stood there, trembling, not from weakness, from rage. Chidi, she said, her voice shaking, I have been awake since 4 o'clock this morning. I swept this compound that you are sitting in. I fetched the water that you drank. I cooked the breakfast that you ate. I walked to the farm. I walked all day in the sun. And now you want me to cook for you and your useless friends? The whole compound went silent. Even the birds stopped chirping. Chidi's friends suddenly remembered urgent appointments and scattered like cockroaches when the light comes on. I just remembered I need to go check on my sick uncle. Me too. My grandmother needs me. I think I left my thing at the place. They ran away so fast, dust was flying. Chidi sat there, mouth open, shocked. In all their years of marriage, Vivian had never spoken to him like this. Vivian, he started. Don't Vivian me, she cut him off. I'm tired, Chidi. I'm tired of carrying this family alone. I'm tired of walking like a donkey while you sit here like a king. I'm tired of pretending everything is fine when my body is breaking down. What kind of man are you? Tears were streaming down her face now. When we got married, you promised to take care of me. You said I would never suffer. But look at me. Look at my hands. Look at my body. I'm 30 years old, but I look 50. And you're getting fat and comfortable while I'm dying slowly. Chidi tried to speak, but no words came out. For the first time in his life, he had no excuse. Vivian picked up her basket and walked into the house, leaving Chidi sitting there, stunned. That night, Vivian didn't cook. The children ate the leftover garri from the morning. Chidi went to bed hungry, confused, and for the first time in years, a tiny bit ashamed. But here's the thing about lazy people. Shame doesn't last long. By the next morning, Chidi had convinced himself that Vivian was just tired and moody. Women and their monthly troubles, he muttered to himself. She will be fine tomorrow. But Vivian wasn't fine. She had reached her breaking point. The next day, she went to the farm as usual. She was there, digging in the hard ground, sweat pouring down her face, when she saw something strange. An old woman appeared at the edge of the farm. This woman was dressed all in white, with a head tie that gleamed like moonlight.
Her eyes were ancient and knowing. She seemed to materialize from thin air. "Good afternoon, Mama," Vivian greeted respectfully, wiping her face with her wrapper. The old woman smiled gently. "Good afternoon, my daughter. You are working very hard. Where is your husband?" Vivian's face darkened. "At home, Mama. Resting." "Resting?" The old woman's eyebrows rose. "Is he sick?" "No, Mama. He just doesn't like to walk." The old woman nodded slowly, like she had heard this story 1,000 times before. "My daughter," she said, moving closer, "how long have you been carrying this burden alone?" And suddenly all the pain, all the frustration, all the years of suffering came pouring out of Vivian like a broken dam. She told the old woman everything. The broken promises, the lazy days under the mango tree, the unpaid bills, the leaking roof, the hungry nights, the aching bones, the dying hope. She cried and cried until she had no more tears left. The old woman listened patiently. When Vivian finally finished, the woman reached into her wrapper and pulled out a small clay pot sealed with a red cloth. "Take this," she said, pressing it into Vivian's hands. "Inside this pot is special soup. Tonight, cook your husband's favorite meal and add this soup to it. But listen to me carefully. This is not ordinary soup. It is truth soup. It will reveal what kind of man your husband truly is." Vivian stared at the pot, her hands trembling. What will happen, Mama?" The old woman's eyes gleamed mysteriously. "If there is even a seed of goodness left in his heart, the soup will water it and make it grow. But if his heart is completely rotting with laziness and selfishness, well, let's just say the spirits know how to deal with men who abandon their responsibilities." Before Vivian could ask anything else, a sudden wind blew across the farm. She closed her eyes against the dust. When she opened them again, the old woman had vanished completely, as if she had never been there at all. Vivian looked down at the clay pot in her hands. It felt warm, almost alive. She could smell something coming from it. Not a bad smell, but a strange smell like herbs and smoke, and something else she couldn't identify. Her heart was pounding. Should she use it? Was it safe? But then she thought about Chidi snoring under the mango tree, and her jaw tightened. She wrapped the pot carefully in her wrapper and continued walking. That evening, Vivian came home with a strange calmness about her. Chidi was, of course, under the mango tree. "Chidi!" she called out, her voice eerily sweet. "Please come inside. I'm making your favorite dish tonight." Chidi's eyes lit up like a Christmas tree. His favorite dish? After yesterday's drama. He knew his wife would come around. Women and their shakara. It never lasts. "Pounded yam and egusi soup?" he asked hopefully. "Yes, with plenty of stockfish and goat meat." Chidi jumped up so fast he almost pulled a muscle. See someone who was too tired to fix the roof, suddenly full of energy when food was mentioned. Vivian went into the kitchen. Her hands were shaking as she prepared the meal. She pounded the yam until it was smooth and stretchy. She cooked the egusi soup with palm oil, crayfish and assorted meat. Then, when everything was almost ready, she opened the clay pot. Inside was a thick, dark liquid that smelled like the forest after rain. She poured it into the soup and stirred it clockwise 7 times, just as something inside her told her to do. The soup bubbled and hissed, then settled back to normal. "Chidi, food is ready," she called out. Chidi practically ran into the house. He washed his hands quickly and sat down in front of the steaming plate of food. The pounded yam was perfect, smooth, white, inviting. The soup was rich and aromatic. "Vivian, you've really outdone yourself," he said, licking his lips. He tore off a piece of pounded yam, dipped it deep into the soup, and swallowed it in one big gulp. Delicious. Another piece, another gulp. He was eating with such joy, such satisfaction, making all sorts of sounds. This is heaven. Vivian stood in the corner watching, her heart beating like a talking drum. Chidi was halfway through the meal when suddenly his hand froze in mid-air. Chitike, Vivian, he said slowly, something feels strange. Strange? How? She asked, her voice barely a whisper. I feel heavy. Very heavy. The piece of pounded yam fell from his hand back into the plate. Chidi tried to stand up, but his legs wouldn't move. It was like they were glued to the ground. Vivian, what is happening? Panic filled his voice. His body started to change. Right there before Vivian's eyes, Chidi's skin began to turn rough and brown like tree bark. His arms stretched out to his sides, his fingers lengthened into branches. His legs merged together, roots shooting out from his feet and digging into the mud floor.
Vivian, help me, please. I don't want to be a tree, Chidi screamed, tears pouring down his face. Then a voice filled the room, deep, ancient, coming from everywhere and nowhere. It was the old woman's voice, but multiplied, like a chorus of ancestors speaking together. Chidi, son of Okeke, you have been weighed and found wanting. Chidi was sobbing now, his transformation slowing but not stopping. He was half man, half tree, stuck between two worlds. The voice continued. A tree provides shade for the weary. A tree gives fruit to the hungry. A tree stands strong in the storm to protect others. Tell me, Chidi, what do you provide? What use are you to anyone? I couldn't answer because the truth was he provided nothing. You sit idle while your wife breaks her back. You eat while she starves. You sleep while she cries. You take and take and take, but give nothing back. Even a tree is more useful than you. Chidi's whole body was shaking with sobs. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I've been wicked. I've been selfish. Vivian, please forgive me. I know I've been useless. I know I've treated you like a slave. Please, if I get one more chance, I swear I will change. I will work. I will help. I will be the husband you deserve. The voice spoke again. Words are easy, Chidi. Even a parrot can speak. The question is, do you mean it? I do. I swear it. Please, just give me one more chance. The room fell silent. Then the voice addressed Vivian. Daughter, the choice is yours. This man has caused you nothing but pain and suffering. You have every right to let him remain as a tree. At least then he would finally be useful. But I leave the decision to you. What do you choose? All eyes turned to Vivian. Chidi looked at her through his tears, his body now more tree than man. Vivian stood there, her mind racing. Part of her wanted to walk away. Part of her wanted to finally be free from this burden. But another part of her, the part that still remembered the young man who had courted her, the father of her children, the man she had once loved, felt a sliver of pity. She closed her eyes and took a deep breath. Give him one more chance, she whispered. But please, if he goes back to his lazy ways, let the curse return. And this time, let it be permanent. The moment she spoke, the transformation reversed. The bark receded. The branches shrank back into arms. The roots withdrew from the ground. Within seconds, Chidi collapsed on the floor, fully human again, gasping and sobbing. He crawled to Vivian's feet and held them tightly. Thank you, he wept. Thank you. I promise you, I will never be that man again. Never. The voice spoke one last time. We will be watching, Chidi. Don't make us come back. Then, silence.
From that day forward, Chidi was a changed man. The very next morning, and I mean the very next morning, Vivian woke up to find that Chidi was already awake. Before her, before the rooster. The same man who used to sleep till noon was up before dawn. "Good morning, my wife," he said, and his voice was different, respectful, humble. He swept the compound. He fetched water from the stream. He lit the fire. He helped her prepare breakfast. Vivian watched in shock, unable to believe her eyes. When his useless friends came to call him to the mango tree, Chidi chased them away. "Get away from here with your laziness. I have work to do. I have a farm to tend. I have a roof to fix. I have a family to feed. If you people like, continue wasting your lives, but leave me out of it." His friends stood there with their mouths open like fish, then scattered. Chidi fixed the leaking roof. He cleared the overgrown farm. He planted yams, cassava, and vegetables. He tapped palm wine to sell at the market. He fetched firewood. He helped cook. He bathed the children. He did everything a good husband should do. The other women in the village couldn't believe it. "Ah, is that Chidi? The same Chidi? Ah, miracle has happened though." Vivian finally got to rest. Her hands began to heal. Her face began to glow again. She smiled more. She laughed more. For the first time in years, she felt like a wife instead of a slave. And Chidi never forgot what happened that night. Sometimes, in the middle of walking, he would look down at his hands, remembering how they had turned into branches, and a shiver would run down his spine. He had been given a second chance, and he was never going to waste it. As for the old woman in white, she was never seen again in that village. But they say that on quiet nights, when the wind blows through the trees, you can hear her voice warning lazy husbands everywhere. Work and cherish your family, or you might just become what you act like, useless wood.
Marriage is a partnership, not a parasitic relationship. Both husband and wife must work together, support each other, and carry the load together. A man who sits idle while his wife suffers is not a man at all. He's just taking up space. And remember, if you don't appreciate what you have, if you don't value the person who stands by you, you might wake up one day and find yourself rooted to the spot, unable to move forward, just like a tree. And to all the hardworking women out there carrying more than their fair share, may your lazy husbands wake up before they turn into trees, oh?